Welcome to What If I Don't Like It with KT Baldassaro. This episode's guest will be Arielle Faye-Foulds, and the movie discussed will be the 1995 Michael Bay action film, Bad Boys.
I'm not understanding. I really don't.
Shut up!
I mean, do you just attract violent people?
Fuck up.
Take it easy, all right? We are police officers.
We're not police officers. I'm not stupid. I know.
What are you?
I've seen police.
I'm gonna reach for my badge, okay?
Badges? You want badges, mother bitch? I give you badges. Here, 99 cents each. I sell you some.
He got 8 fucking badges. I told you this cop thing don't work.
I blow you. Then I blow you.
Blow me? What the fuck? No. Hot me.
I'm from the Middle East. I killed before. I kill again.
Hot me, please.
I'm gonna
Hold
blow
on.
you.
Hot me.
Hold on.
Do you see the fucking emotion I'm going through right now? That means this shit is serious, okay? That means me and this motherfucker's not vibing right now. That's what that shit means, okay?
You got something on your chest?
I got something. That's what
Do you want some?
The guy's got a cannon.
What do you
Do
want?
you want some? You want some bad enough, then you come get some.
Wait. Hey, freeze, bitch.
You freeze, bitch.
Oh, shit. I'm fucked.
Now back up, put the gun down, and give me a pack of tropical fruit bubblicious.
And some Skittles.
When I'm picking movies for this show, I want to make sure that we keep to the idea of covering movies, actors, genres that are typically thought of as not worth your time, as much as we do the idea that we're covering something that the viewer might like despite preconceived notions. It's super easy to cast a wide net and find a person who hasn't seen a clearly classic film. Many people avoid watching things that are considered popular just to be obstinate, and that also can mean popular, good works of cinema. It can be a badge of honor to annoy your friends with statements like, "I've never seen any of the Godfather films," or "Citizen Kane? What's that? Everything? Where? When?" And I'm sure we'll have a few of those episodes peppered in. We do have an episode in January with Rocky Calcetta where we're going to discuss Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that does feel like an easy win because that's typically considered a great movie. However, this episode is about both a movie and a director that are considered not very high cinema. I'm of course talking about Bad Boys and Michael Bay. This is continuing the December theme of Mikes You Might Not Likes. In a change from our pilot episode, both myself and the guest will be experiencing the film for the first time, as we both think we might not like it, but also think that we could be wrong here. I mean, the idea of a film that is not challenging mentally, has a lot of visually entertaining effects, explosions, maybe there is something here to like. And of course, like it or not, the film itself is still influential to the genre, while also launching the career of Michael Bay. He would go on to do the Transformers franchise, of course, but also Armageddon and The Rock. I mean, like it or not, who doesn't like The Rock? That is a really fun action film. Also, he would go on to do the video for I Would Do Anything for Love by Meatloaf. So, I mean, we're really talking about big emotions, big payoffs. And you know, our zeitgeist has, for better or worse, been touched by his existence. And this is the moment he steps down from Mount Sinai with the tablets. Okay, that's too much, I'm sorry. I'm just still thinking about all that information from the Ark of the Covenant Wikipedia I had to read for our Raiders episode coming up. So, let's get into it with our guest, Potter, friend, confidant, the voice on the phone when you're yelling about your weed. It's Arielle Faye-Foulds.
A lot of motherfucking attention.
You know what? I need to jump over this car and smack you in your peasy ass head. That's what I need to do.
Bro, you know what? You're arguing over motherfucking French
It's not about
fries.
the French fries. It's
man.
about your lack of respect for other people's property.
Hey.
Shut the fuck up. This shit is stupid.
Shut up. Hold the fuck on.
All right, now you want something bad enough? Come get some.
You like that shit? Wesley Snipes, passenger 57. Now give me a motherfucking handy wipe.
So I'm here today, on location at my friend Ari's house. This is Arielle Faye-Foulds.
Yeah, that's exactly how to say it. That's amazing, yeah.
And we're here because we are going to watch Bad Boys.
Yes. Yes, we are going to watch Bad Boys.
And you know, unlike episode 1 where Scott wants to watch a movie that I have seen and do feel like is a good movie, I also have not actually seen Bad Boys.
What?
No, I know all about Bad Boys. It's talked about a lot as an action film.
Wait a minute!
And I haven't seen it.
Wait a minute!
I just have extensively read the Wikipedia and forgotten that doesn't count because my brain filmed the remaining pieces.
I feel like I just assume that you have seen every movie.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's common.
Wait, so have you seen Bad Boys 2?
Deep admission?
Yeah.
I have not seen anything in the Bad Boys multiverse.
Wow.
My.
So wait, who's interviewing who for this? Like, should we get your preconceived notions as well?
Yeah. Well, I think that we should definitely approach this as it's a 2-person. What if we
don't like it?
And I thought that would be interesting because we're 2 women.
True.
We're close to 40.
True.
We are white.
Yes.
This movie is not meant for us.
No.
But...
And isn't it so typical of us to be inserting ourselves where we are not wanted and unexpected?
Unexpected, but that's exactly why we haven't seen it. So maybe it's still entirely enjoyable. It doesn't need to be, like, cinematic.
No, and I mean, I haven't seen it because I haven't seen a lot of movies. And I generally don't lean towards the action genre. Or, like, the buddy film is not really my thing. Mm-hmm. I'm more of, like, a Studio Ghibli kind of person. I'm more of, like, I liked cult films growing up, which is really weird. Like, Sweeney Todd was one of my favorites as a child. Because it was, like, a musical, and it was about, like, murdering people, which was, like, cool to me in some way, but that was as gross and, like, macabre as I got. Having some kind of, like, action buddy film, I think my only reference for that to date is the movie Space Jam.
Wow, that's, like, not where I thought you were gonna go.
And yet, this is my frame of reference.
Wow. I mean, I guess I could do a whole episode on Space Jam.
Well, let's do that too, because I actually really like that movie.
Do you think you'll like it? Oh my god, to unpack Space Jam, which is, almost a giant commercial, but also so important in our kind of childhood.
For, like, a commercial for Nike?
Commercial for everything.
For everything, yeah. Was it Michael Jordan? No, it was Shaq.
It was Michael Jordan.
It was Michael Jordan?
It was Michael Jordan and multiple people because the space aliens came to... This is me talking about, again, here I am talking about a movie I've barely watched, but definitely have watched people talk about.
Really?
The space aliens come to Earth and they challenge and they try and steal the
powers.
Essence.
The essence. It's like almost like a Dark Crystal situation.
Of multiple basketball players.
Yeah.
So it's not just... and this is right after...
That's right, it was the whole team.
Michael Jordan has failed as a baseball player and is keeps trying to reinvent himself because it is not simply good enough to be transcendently good at basketball. I mean, Sisyphus chased that high.
So was Space Jam in, like, the same time as Bad Boys?
Oh my god. What a fantastic question. I don't know. I don't know.
Can I look that up?
You can go ahead and look that up. Space Jam, I feel 1996 is the date I want to get.
Oh my god, I'm so excited to see what it was exactly 1996.
So this is 1995. This is the year prior.
Oh my god. All right, so you do know what year it was made.
I know.
Amazing.
So I can always kind of get you within a certain time period. But
I do love a 90s film. Like,
yes.
I feel like it was a golden age when we were growing up where, like, Blockbuster ruled, and for some reason everybody liked hockey and basketball. Now everybody likes football.
We had those Ducks, and they were so fucking mighty.
I did love the Mighty Ducks.
Of course.
That's right. That's right. I freaking love the Mighty Ducks. But most of it was because my step family watched movies as, like, a form of bonding. That was, like, their family time. And whenever my sister and I would go spend time with them, we would have access to this incredible media library that we had only access to through the library.
Oh, wow.
When we weren't, like, no shade on my mom. She had us, like, going outside and playing in the dirt and doing imaginative games, and that was great, but it was leaving me a little bit, like, stunted and weird. I know, to the point now where, like, I don't know I didn't realize there was Bad Boys. I had only ever heard of Bad Boys 2, and that was, yes.
Yeah, so...
And this is where we find ourselves in this podcast.
I think that's maybe the most important part to why we picked Bad Boys.
Yeah.
Is the adorable story of you telling me that you didn't realize, having watched the entirety of Bad Boys 2, that Bad Boys 2 was a sequel. I guess it's if you just hear the title, Bad Boys 2, you can assume that it is Bad Boys, comma, T-O-O. As in, hey, these guys, they're cops.
Yeah.
They're also bad boys.
I didn't even think about it. It was like, it was just it's like, why is Gruyere cheese called Gruyere? You don't think about it. Why is it called champagne? You don't think, it's because it's from the region of France. It literally never occurred to me why it would be called Bad Boys 2. It was just the name of the movie was Bad Boys 2. Like, Boys 2.
And, yeah, like, as well, also.
Indeed.
Yeah. Which is why you gotta use the breaking naming taxonomy for films, which is that the second of every film needs to be to Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
And we know it is a sequel.
Like the Jurassic Park series.
Jurassic Park 2, Electric Boogaloo. Was the working title. I think it's important to note, then, that you have seen the 2003 Bad Boys 2. And we are watching the 1995 Bad Boys.
I have not seen Bad Boys 2.
Oh!
I have seen nothing. We are in the same place.
Oh, I thought you saw Bad Boys 2.
No. Haven't seen it. I've only heard of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard of it, and I think this came about because you were like, what's a movie that you don't know if you would like?
And you
and
said
I was
Bad
like,
Boys
Bad Boys 2, and you were like, well, how
Why
do you
would
like...
you say the sequel?
Did you like Bad Boys 1? And I was like, well, now I
sequel?
feel stupid. Yeah.
Well, okay. So, Bad Boys 2 is financially the worst in the series.
Wonderful.
Bad Boys 1, it's very important to note that Bad Boys 1 had a $20 million budget, which
Wow, in the 90s, that's a lot. It's not just like a house in Malibu, that's a lot.
It feels like a lot, but actually, So I Married an Axe Murderer, a rom-com that is 93 minutes, has a $19 million budget. It lost $8 million in returns. It did bad, very badly. This movie had $1 million more than So I Married an Axe Murderer, which was made the 2 years before. It winds up making $90 million.
Wow.
So that's like an incredible, just insane amount of turnover on that. This film winds up making $65 million worldwide, which is about 2 times as much as it made. Bad Boys 2 made $130 million, which is significantly more than 65, but it also costs pretty much that much. It's kind of like a break even. And then Bad Boys 3, which has the highest rating on Rotten Tomatoes. 76% of critics were like, yeah, and 96% of viewers were like, Bad Boys 3, subtitle, Bad Boys for Life, which feels like that has to be the title of Bad Boys 4, Bad Boys for Life, but no. Bad Boys 4 is coming out next year, by the way.
What you're all hearing right now is me suddenly realizing that there's not just Bad Boys 1 and 2, but an entire multiverse that contains 3, 4, and 5?
4 to come out now.
4. Oh my god.
Considering the amount of money that they made on the third one, it was $116 million profit. There's probably gonna be a 5. And you know what? The first one has almost nobody in it besides Will Smith and Martin Lawrence and Teresa Randall. All 3 of them wind up being in all the movies. They're all,
for them.
Staying
That says to me, at
consistent.
least they must like each other,
Yeah.
Actors don't agree to work with each other again, usually. If it's not a big amount of money. I know a lot of actors. We can just skip right past that. Anyway.
We're only in it for the money.
That's
100%.
100%.
Well, with a movie like this, you'd think
but I
like
would make
you're
some
only
funny
in it
films,
for
you know? Like,
Yeah.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, well, we're in the height of that news story that broke yesterday where Taika Waititi said that he didn't really want to do a Marvel movie. He did Thor Ragnarok, which was a really great entry, but he needed the money, and so he did it, and he didn't really want to do more of them, and he's not really super interested in the universe. But he's like, I did it, I made some money, I put my credit on it, you can kind of like it, do what you will, and everybody's like,
He didn't do it for the art.
yeah. So, in that
You know.
exact vein, as we approach this film, Michael Bay says, there are no rules to film. That's the first rule. You can break the rules, you can make your own kind of rules. I know you're not exactly a filmmaker, you have done acting before, and you are definitely an artist, you do pottery, you make a lot of art. How do you feel about that? Is there something to be gained there in this, like, openness in art?
Yes, there is, because somebody will always find value in it. Even if the artist themselves doesn't see it as the truest art they've ever made, somebody will. Somebody will truly connect with it and think it is a cinematic masterpiece. Even, I find it, I can draw a parallel between those drawings that are, like, really childlike, that people absolutely adore and they go for lots of money. And I don't personally connect with them, but somebody does. And that, to me, does that mean that I think that the artist shouldn't make it because I don't personally find value in it? Or do they make a lot of them because it's just really profitable? It doesn't fucking matter because somebody out there really loves it.
And that's really at the height of these. I keep wanting to say Michael Mann, who's the director of Heat, and I'm trying so hard. It's Bay. We're in the Baneverse. This is a Baneissance. This is all, or any of these catching, Michael Bay movies. In fact, this is the first Michael Bay movie, and that's why it's important, and I think that's why people want to talk about it, and that's why it stays in people's minds. Until now, just a music video director, kind of like your Baz Luhrmann to Moulin Rouge, if you will.
I will.
And he did like really big music videos for very big, acts like Tina Turner and to a lesser degree Donny Osmond, and to an even lesser degree Vanilla Ice. So we're gonna, anybody who's a video director who then also becomes a film director immediately gets accused of being all visual, no substance. But this movie is not written by Michael Bay. It isn't. He's not a writer. He's a director. This movie is written by, oh my god, so many fucking people. The story is credited to George Gallo, who wrote Midnight Run and 29th Street, which has Anthony LaPaglia in it, and our last movie had Anthony LaPaglia in it. So if we can just get an Anthony LaPaglia reference for all episodes, I think we'll be doing pretty good.
I'm going to write that down.
But it was then adapted by Michael Barry, Jim Mulholland, Doug Richardson. Then they have uncredited writers who did a rewrite on it, which were James Toback, Carol Wolper, David Milch, Dick Clement, Ian LaFranis, and Larry Ferguson. Michael Bay has been said, yeah, that guy, that's Anthony. And now and then you gotta look up the guy. That's Anthony LaPaglia. He was the best friend in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Yeah.
Who does all
he
the
did
fantastic
so
scenes
many...
with Alan Arkin.
Yeah.
You wanna go character actor.
Yeah, I recognize him from so many things.
So, Michael Bay has been quoted later on in his life as having said, this script was, quote, a piece of shit. And having the limited budget that he only had $10,000 to purchase a rewrite, which is like a joke. A rewrite on a script is usually like $100,000.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of ad-libbing that happens in this movie.
Interesting.
And I'm wondering if, as improv actors, we'll notice it, if you'll feel it. Like we were just talking about how
Will Smith has a very distinctive improv style.
Oh, okay.
You can watch The Men in Black and you can see the moments where he breaks the character and just does a genuine reaction. So I think this is going to be very interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of his true, you'll see the character from Prince of Bel-Air Then I saw like all 6 episodes. Thank you very much.
Oh, I watched the whole show.
Well, again, how many of those were at the library?
Touche à moi.
Yeah.
And he's kind of fresh off of, he's fresh Prince of Bel-Air into this movie. Not really originally thought of for being the character in this movie, but brought in because of his he's up and coming. We like him in that movie. The original title for this movie was Bulletproof Hearts. It was written for Dana Carvey and John Lovitz.
I'm sorry, that sounds like an anime. I want that to be an anime. Also with the same actors. John Lovitz.
And then Dana Carvey. Well, fine, Again, tying back to our first episode, because Dana Carvey worked with Mike Myers in Wayne's World. But apparently, Don Simpson, the producer, arranged a trip for the actors to go to Las Vegas, Dana Carvey and John Lovitz, to celebrate the Bulletproof Hearts, the film. And Carvey was so horrified by the notoriously wild Simpson that he withdrew from the project altogether. The film got put into turnaround, and Disney winds up selling the rights to Columbia. And they wind up giving it to Mann as like a first shot, and Will Smith is kind of like a first shot. And there's like really no backing by anybody involved in the back end of this film, except that Mann really believes in it. And these people want to make it work. To the point where there's a stunt at the end of the film that costs $25,000, and they ran out of budget to do the stunt.
But didn't...
And $25,000, yeah.
But let's just back up and say before, like, the person who directed this said that the script was shit.
Yes.
And yet somebody really took this in as a passion project.
Yeah.
See, my previous note of it doesn't have to have value for somebody to love it.
Yeah. And to make it work, and to be like, you know what, I want to make movies in Hollywood, and my shot isn't going to be perfect. I was just talking to another director about this. Like, if you only do pieces that feel absolutely perfect, and you only release art once it's absolutely perfect, you wind up not fucking making a lot of shit.
Well, absolutely true. We could apply that to ceramics as well for anybody who's got a dual interest.
If anybody wants to get into acting, they should also do ceramics, because the degree in which you put so much of yourself into something and then wind up with possibly nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Except for disappointment and self-loathing.
And not a deep unsureness in yourself.
Oh, God, yes.
But also so rewarding, such high highs when it works.
Oh my God, 100%. Wow, those parallels have never been so apparent to me, but yes, that is absolutely true.
Sorry to put that mirror a little close.
Oh, God, I can see my own breath. Jesus fucking Christ, why is that so true?
So, Mann is doing the best with what he's got. He's very, very experienced at this point at making music videos, at shooting things. I can't say he needs the money. He doesn't need the money. He winds up paying for the action sequence at the end because they don't have the money. And he's like, forget it. You know what? I'm going to put my money down on this in a kind of like James Cameron, Titanic. I'm going to fund this. We've ran out of budget, I believe.
Yeah.
But still says that, like, this is not a good story. This is not well written. We did our best. And I'm wondering if we can still enjoy it outside of that.
I also wonder, because oftentimes I feel like projects like that and movies like that seem to be, and in my experience, have been references to the time where they were made. And this is why I don't know if I'm going to like this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I didn't really connect with a lot of parts of the 90s. And I don't really remember them so well. And those jokes have perhaps expired. There was a lot of fat phobia in the 90s that was funny, that is really fucking offensive. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of homophobia.
Yes.
That's extremely prevalent, and it was just so casual, and it's so offensive.
You hit on the two biggest offensive parts of So I Married an Axe Murderer.
100%.
90s film.
Yes.
There's a super ridiculous fat phobic joke, and
yes.
there's a lot of homophobia in the like beloved adult character of the father.
And it was seen as so benign. Mm-hmm. And like such a, these are family, quote unquote, family friendly movies where it was like, how how horrible that we are just skimming past it. Making the same jokes on Friends and seeing this, like, let's just acknowledge right now that we're gonna probably be pretty offended. But again, as like cis hetero white women in our mid 30s, late 30s, early. God damn it.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Round up. It's fine. It's fine.
We're of an era, like I was 16 in the year 2000.
And I also want to again sing, it was the 90s.
It was the 90s. I love it.
But,
please cue Kevin Johnson.
I'm hoping to take from this what I often take from even very bad horror movies, which is I'll enjoy the special effects. I'll enjoy what I feel like they're going for in the production. Like, oh wow, that's a really cool dead body. Look, you almost believe it. Or is that the actor holding his breath? I can barely see him moving.
Right.
So I'm genuinely hoping to be like, wow, these are some explosions. These are some pretty cool visuals. We are seeing the birth of what would wind up being such a large part of existence. I think that oh god, what is that movie with it's the Coen brothers and it's George Clooney and it's singing. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So I'm gonna bridge the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou.
There are like 4 in that genre too. I just want you to know.
The guy with the eyebrows.
Yeah.
You mean Benicio del Toro? You know what I mean. And Transformers. Those 2 films, high art. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And Michael Bay's Transformers, the first one. Because they both exist at a period of time where they color correct the film to have the skin tones be hyper orange and the blues super pop. They're on the opposite side of the color wheel. And that winds up just dictating what movies look like for so long and even kind of still to this day. I feel that's what Bad Boys is going to do. I feel like we're going to say, oh, what a cliche. But also, this is the first time it's happening. That shot, they're blowing it up, they're walking away. It feels fresh.
Are we going to put that on the bingo card? Blowing it up and walking away? Well, I'm gonna call putting on sunglasses.
Putting on sunglasses, yeah. Wow.
At night. For some reason.
We did count montages in So I Married an Axe Murderer. We can definitely count explosions.
Wonderful.
Although I would be super surprised to see if someone doesn't have like a explosion count on this already.
Amazing.
All right. I guess we're gonna watch the movie, come back and talk about it. I'm gonna just give you the stupidest bit of trivia from IMDb that I can give you, because sometimes IMDb trivia is user submitted and I'll go through it, and sometimes there's like 60 entries, and by the time I get to like the last 15 I could punch a baby. And this one really made me want to just get the fattest baby I could and just pop it right in the this is the first movie with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence where they both wear a goatee. So we'll go into the movie knowing that
the goatee is illegal in Massachusetts.
It's you could only have it. You can't have it in a bathtub on a Sunday. Is that what it is?
You cannot wear a goatee within the city boundaries of Boston, I believe, or within the state of Massachusetts, or carry a lollipop in your back pocket. Just saying.
It's true. It's true facts.
True facts.
True facts.
Laws.
See you on the other side.
Bye.
What was that? What was that?
That's what I don't know!
We're coming back to you a little quicker than we intended to come back to you. We are 38 minutes into the movie, and
it's like any good friend interrupting the viewing with our commentary.
We are not stoned, but I mean, if you know me, that's a tenet of my existence. However, I feel, and you feel, like we need to stop and do a recap. I feel like, Ari, you are giving me a how did this get made June moment, which is, I want to ask you, what do you think has happened so far?
Well, okay, so from what I can tell, and let's be clear, I have ADD, and I usually multitask through a movie, so just sitting here and watching it has been tough. And also, my brother has come and gone.
Yes, we brought in a
partially white male viewer to just make sure we weren't skewed too badly. He burned it harder than anyone in the room.
I don't know that he'll go on the record here, but I believe he has absolutely seen this movie more than once. Even though he was shy or even reticent to admit so. I guarantee he's not going to listen to this podcast, so we can absolutely say, yeah, he did not care for it.
Okay.
He knew he didn't like it, and that's where he stayed. I think what's happened so far is so there's a heist, and a bunch of heroin has been stolen. In what looks like aluminum foil that would keep some fried chicken warm. And, no joke, that's exactly what I thought was like, maybe it's a bunch of little square chickens.
We definitely thought for a second it was Irish Kerrygold butter.
Kerrygold butter, yep.
Yeah.
Had a flash of Cafe Bustillo espresso.
Exactly.
Really went through every option except for heroin. And then it landed at a house where these two women who are basically obsessed with Delia's.
Mm-hmm. And Delia's catalog.
Yeah, they were walking through the set of Romeo and Juliet that hadn't really been set up yet, but for some reason had like fake porticos. A lot of like terrazzo for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
They were somehow menaced by a group of gangsters, and one of the one wearing the choker somehow went up to a second floor lobby. What's her name?
Taya Leone.
Taya Leone. Sounds absolutely delicious.
Oh.
I can't get over what the architecture of this house is, because for some reason there's a arch-shaped screen to the second floor. Like, what house would have that? Where you could spy on the room below, right? Anyway, she watches her friend get shot, and yet still doesn't immediately run. She, like, stays to watch the rest of the tea, okay?
Yes.
All right? Yeah. And then runs, and now, somehow, the narcotics sheriffs, or sergeants, are tracking down this woman because she is a witness to the murder that they're trying to solve, even though they've said they're not homicide detectives several times.
Yes, I mean, we've established in our buddy cop thing there has to be a, like, I'm not even supposed to be here aspect.
Exactly. It's either his day before retirement, or, it was just about to be my vacation.
Yeah.
It's the Die Hard premise of, like, it's Christmas, we shouldn't even do this.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of bring-in for these narcotic officers to get them in on that. I don't think that you've missed at all what has happened.
Okay, great. Why does she know? How does she know Mike Lowry's name? Because the Delia's catalog, she knows. She called the station, was like, I'm only going to talk to Mike Lowry. What is he got, like, a Yellow Pages?
I think that might be something we simply missed because we were looking away from the screen for a second.
How dare they?
How dare they? I think they may have met earlier. And the problem is, I also have ADHD. I have taken my medication today, but this film is shot so quickly that I keep turning to you and going, where are we? Who is that? There was a point where we meet Taya Leone for the first time, maybe the first time. I don't know, because if that was, then she didn't meet anybody earlier. And I turn to you and I go, where are we? Are we at bed work?
Well, you audibly gasped at the shot where the car is coming towards us and there's a boat going perpendicular to the screen with no space in between.
There was space in between the dialogue that ended the preview. It was just like, someone's talking car. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, Mary. Because when you do that in a take, it's often because the car has hit them and has cut off the end of it because it has hit them.
Exactly. Which is always jarring to me. I'm never ready for it.
Yeah, it's like if
I
you
don't care for that.
Undid the 180 visual rule, but with the audio.
It so far what I can say is that this has been the longest music video that I have ever watched in my life.
We're not sure. We're watching it at the right. We're watching it in 4K on Freevee. Plug to Freevee because it's free, and we're not paying to watch this movie. Even though online it does say it's free on Amazon and Peacock. We couldn't find them.
Well, it was free on Amazon, but we also had to watch ads there. And if I'm going to watch ads, it's not for Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that.
We're in Freevee and we're watching the ads.
Yeah.
we don't know if it feels like it's been taken from the wrong aspect ratio and put into letterbox, like older movies, like we're clipping and it's trying to like float around in that. It also feels like we're watching a Doctor Who episode because the quality of the camera is weird.
Yeah, I'm getting like PBS and then also music video, and then it just doesn't. I'm not certain I'm seeing the whole picture.
So we'll definitely check before we come back with our next take to make sure that isn't just because it's been somehow re-edited for 4K to thoroughly unenhance it. But so far, it's
this is just as cliche as we had hoped and expected. A lot of fucks.
All right. Anyway, back at it.
You forgot your boarding pass.
Should do like a welcome back.
No.
Second check into the final.
I'm agitated and I don't feel like doing a welcome back. I feel like here we are. And here you are as well, if you made it to the end. You know what, actually, when I arrived at Ari's house, she was making a Dutch baby, Bobby.
That's right.
And because I'm allergic to soy and Ari is allergic to dairy, together our powers, Wonder Twins, activate.
Hurt tummies activate.
Form of IBS. She experimented and used bacon grease to make the Dutch baby. And the result, upon thorough testing, was good if you needed to, like, kind of Scotch guard your mouth.
Yeah.
But
coat your mouth like Homer Simpson coats his mouth with a wax candle.
Yeah. But was not actually edible or enjoyable. I feel like it was a spectrum of edible. And that is kind of what I feel like this movie has been for me. Where like I went into it being like, I love a Dutch baby. Fuck yeah, you know, whatever. It's candy for breakfast. I'm gonna enjoy it. And at about maybe an hour in, I felt like, is my mouth wax?
That's right. I wanted a buddy film and an action adventure, and what I got was a disorganized mess of heavily filtered music video shots.
Yes. I mean, we can confirm that we watched a 4K remastered version on an exceptionally good new TV, and the result was that it felt like we were watching 80s or 90s BBC.
Like a soap opera.
Soap operas. It was too real. Kind of like
real.
Something that you shot yourself for like dailies.
Yeah.
Watching clips on YouTube of the original film, it was not shot that way. So that, I don't know, we'll put that critique aside. However, it didn't help that that made so much of it feel like a porn.
Well, I will say I'm more used to this TV, and it bothered me less.
Okay.
I think it influenced my viewing of this less. Although what this says to me is we need to hang out and watch more TV together.
Yes.
At my house.
And I don't mean to say like it was super sexual. I mean, like it felt like establishing porn.
No, yeah, exactly. It made it feel it makes it feel amateurish. Like somebody is, you're filming in the wrong speed. Like your film is a little too intense, and it doesn't really have the magic quality that it used to have. Yeah,
it doesn't feel edited.
No. Well, and also this film, Bad Boys really seems to be a little disorganized. It just does. Overall, I would say it's. I was entertained.
Okay.
I was entertained.
Well,
I understand. I was entertained. I think it was something that, for its time, was probably really enjoyed because it had a lot of references and jokes coupled with pretty blatant, like, what would have been exciting running around, flashing lights, boom, boom, boom style for the 90s. That was, like, very in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we haven't even really fully gotten Guy Ritchie. It's like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels came out maybe 92.
That's right.
But bless your heart, you if you found a copy of that, you had a weird Blockbuster video or
I had that.
Good
I loved
Pleasant
that movie.
Street videos. Good movie.
It was sold in a 2-pack with Snatch.
Of course it was.
Yeah,
that's
I
the way to
loved
do it.
Those were like 2 of my favorites.
So movie 2-packs is not a thing that happens anymore.
No, like Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. There's some that just obviously go together.
There's some that go together, and there are some that are just like also very indicative of who I am as a person. Because one of my most memorable 2-packs is Pie and Requiem for a Dream.
Oh, I also had that one.
Wow, what an afternoon to just ruin your life.
Yeah, 100% ruin your life. Yeah, those two both. Pie, I think, led me to Waking Life, which I liked a lot.
Love a rotoscope.
Absolutely. And it blew my mind, and I think led to my true love and appreciation of animation.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Easily.
persists. Yeah, exactly. So I that was a real turning point. But also Requiem for a Dream really taught me too many things too soon, and I don't recommend it to anyone.
I encountered Waking Life in a similar way to your media, which it was the only VHS at my boyfriend in college's house. And so that I watched it like, oh, this is, and then I just kept watching it.
It's me. I'm the boyfriend.
It's me. It's me right here. So this kind of leads into an interesting question I wanted to ask you. The audience score for Rotten Tomato on this was 78. The critic score was 43. That's a swing of 35% difference. So, for example, So I Married an Axe Murderer is a 15% swing, and that's kind of considered a cult classic.
Sure.
Roger Ebert gave this film 2 stars and said, "Whom do they make these movies for? What exercise in self-deception inspires them to go to such effort and expense for what is obviously going to be a lame exercise in retreadsmanship?" End quote. And, if I were to answer what is obviously a rhetorical question.
Sure.
The movie still made $65 million. There's definitely a for whom is this movie made?
Yes, of course. It has a very specific demographic. Mm-hmm. Can we say again, it's not us.
No.
It's not Robert Ebert. Like, it's not the people who are going to the Cannes Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for Burning Man. It's for the people who wanted a relatable, and I think in the 90s, I don't know this because it's not my experience, but I would imagine that seeing an action movie with a mostly black cast would have been refreshing to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how relatable the jokes really were because, again, not super touched in at that time. But I feel like some people really would have related to the way that it was both, I'm using like quotes, like funny. Like I'm thinking of the scene outside of the house where they've swapped lives basically, mm-hmm. and one tackles the other into an inflatable pool. And this, that whole scene was supposed to be funny. Obviously, that's supposed to be like a comedic relief mm-hmm. scene. Mm-hmm. Neither one of us was really like ha ha ha-ing, but I can see how somebody would have liked that mm-hmm. at that time. There's definitely a market for it out there.
And this movie wasn't super like racy or full of cursing, so I think it would be kind of.
Didn't they say fuck like a whole bunch of times?
Did they say fuck a whole bunch of
times?
Like
a lot.
I'm dead to it. They did.
Yeah.
I want to say that this movie is for 13-year-olds or like young boys, because if you're so new to the action genre, it's like, wow, crazy, that's cool. And then he said the cool thing, and the camera angle when they're even having that funny scene with the shop clerk, and the guns are so angular and so in your face, like Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. That speaks to a more like unexperienced viewer. Mm-hmm. But you're right, they do curse a lot. The violence is still pretty,
I don't think you even need to be 13 to appreciate it. Like, there's what would be considered a lowbrow audience.
Yeah.
Like, how many Ernest movies got made?
Oh, I do love an Ernest Christmas.
How many of those, like, Medea movies got made?
This is true.
Like, there's a French, and how many of these got made? Like,
Will be made.
Will be. How many Fast and Furious are there? Like,
I do love those.
This is not, we're not talking like,
it doesn't have to be the finest cinema.
No.
You know, like it's a chain restaurant.
Uh-huh.
We're not going to someplace fancy that's got like a one-off, you know, Michelin star. It's Chili's. This movie is Chili's.
We did cheer for the final explosion.
We did. We totally cheered the explosions.
Yeah, that was great.
We ate popcorn and cheered the explosions. Like, I think, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we enjoyed it. There's an enjoyable level to this that you don't have to think about. That's like, boom, fun to watch things go boom. That's a whole airplane hangar that they exploded.
My only complaint is the movie's longer than it need be.
Yes.
I am very much for the make movies shorter.
Yes.
97 minutes with credits. So if they made the movie shorter, they could have saved money and done more explosions. My only critique of this movie is not enough explosions. And I didn't in a million years think that would be my critique of this movie.
I wholeheartly have to agree with you that there were certain scenes where it was like character building. Mm-hmm. That were like the goal of homophobic jokes. It was immediately fulfilled. Boom, there. Yeah, a joke about the drapes and like it was so stupid. It could have been that added nothing and could have been completely cut out and should have been completely cut out because it added nothing and again would have made more money for explosions, which everybody liked.
Yes, you know, you said something while we were watching and I wrote it down because I have this, each episode is going to contain a little bit of additional media. Our first episode has what I'm calling the Big Myers test, which is a test that you can take to fill out to see where you might have blind spots in the work of Mike Myers. Like, did you know he was a documentarian?
Is that if you only eat fish?
That was pescatarian. Yes, Mike Myers, avid pescatarian. For this one, I would love to bring to life, and by the time you're hearing this, it will be available. We'll work on it together. A bingo card for watching this movie because we had shouted out a couple of things that we had expected prior to watching the movie. Yeah, and when they happened, it elated and joyed us so much.
No question.
I mean, there is and again, for like levels of inappropriate, but still like, oh my God, you son of a bitch, I'm in. When they're doing that scene in the chase at the end, at its middle end, where he's shirtless, shirt is open. Yeah. But, if you read the trivia, he was supposed to be shoeless in like a Die Hard reference, but Will Smith smartly said, I'm not going to do that. The scene doesn't need it. It's really long and through so many places with bad things to step on.
There's a shot specifically of the feet running through broken glass. Again, Die Hard reference, but not worth it.
They start to come out of a shop and there's a bunch of people in like sports wheelchairs, like basketball player wheelchairs.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
And I turned to you and I said, oh no, are they gonna use the wheelchair people like a plate of glass? And they did. And they did. And not only did they, but then also, they're like, just in case, they brought in an actual plate of glass for the people to go through. And it was
so ridiculous. There was no reason for them. First of all, it was like an establishing shot of like 7 or 8 para-Olympians who were like, they were just dignified. They were just doing their thing.
On the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk. Like, even like, I don't even know if they were, wherever they were like just living their lives and doing whatever they were doing. And here come these fucking jerks just honestly, just flip this guy off of his chair towards the camera. And that's all you see. Like, like that's the joke?
It's a level of absurdism. That's the joke. And then also we still get the plate glass.
That also, yeah. You called that out almost simultaneously as it happened, and I've never felt like such an emotional roller coaster.
if there was
like, oh my God, joy and then horror and then joy and then horror, yeah.
If films had a concept of umami, that's what it would be. When something is so...
I don't feel guilty tasting umami.
So repulsive and terrible, but also deliciously appropriate. And you're just experiencing it in waves. That's what that was. Also, early on I said, if we don't get a guy in a flame suit walking towards the camera, I will. stand up and walk out.
Correct.
It took 142 minutes,
Yes.
but when we finally got it, again, elation and cheers.
Yeah, we almost stood up and cheered like it was a sports
It
game.
was the best.
I have to say, it's an underrated pastime.
Who's
going to catch fire? Also, let's just make a note. I don't know if this was already in your notes, but the dogs, the inclusion of the dogs. Luke and Duke, I was A, not prepared for them to have names, or B, have them be such like an included character together and there was clearly Luke was several different dogs. Like that Bichon Frise looked haggard in the middle of the movie.
Maybe a miniature poodle at one point.
100%. It was all of a sudden it was a white toy poodle, and then it went back to like a Maltipoo and then a Bichon. Like you can't listen. I had my glasses on. I could see those dogs. That was a Yorkshire Terrier, pretty much throughout the thing. Maybe a Silky at sometimes, and probably definitely. I mean, there was obviously a stuffed animal when she was whipping it around in her arm like a football.
As a Michael Bay movie, everything was shot so close.
Yeah.
That yes, we definitely could see that was not.
It's not like she literally was running like a linebacker through some of those scenes with the dog, and then having the other dog in a duffel bag. Like, this is the most LA thing I think I've ever seen.
And then the scene where Martin Lawrence is trying to go through the doorway and the little dog actor sits down.
He blocks his way and just wants to be included. That was the most dog-like, the truest acting in the film, I really thought, was that Yorkshire Terrier getting in the way.
I'm just basically saying, give them an award.
Yeah. And then also like having the time of his life on that giant bed.
Yes.
Just being pet
for that whole weird, awkward
scene.
I have to have sex with the guy who's watching me in protective custody scene.
Yep. For no particular reason. I don't even know what that scene was about, honestly, because I was watching the dog the whole time, and I regret nothing.
Yeah. No, I think that there was a lot of middle bit in this movie that was like, it's a comedy farce with a switcheroo.
Yeah.
And a sexual misunderstanding. And I wonder if that was left over from the Dana Carvey, John Lovitz come-in. First of all, I could not stop looking at Téa Leoni and thinking that was Sarah Sherman from Saturday Night Live.
Right.
Like, that is the same delivery, same sort of character.
Yeah.
But this, like, maybe they could switch, maybe they could do impersonations kind of thing. Honestly, that was the palate cleanser that kept me going. I would be like, in a scene that sucked so hard, I would just say like, I wonder if that was John Lovitz.
Yeah, exactly. Some of this, I think maybe that's what it is it really didn't seem like this was... It was like somebody got distracted while they were making this movie.
Couple of different movies. They did at one point have the intention for the Martin Lawrence character to be Arsenio Hall. There was a point where Eddie Murphy was supposed to be in it with Wesley Snipes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Better? Worse? What do you feel about those?
I think that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are people who have done acting in the past. And I can't really say... I don't know. Wesley Snipes never really... unless you're doing fierce drag, Wesley. I don't know that I want to see you in another action film anytime soon.
I mean, he 100% cornered the market on Black Vampire.
Yes.
That's just it. That's...
Also, he's an unexpectedly great metaphysical actor with, like, a huge range. And I feel like maybe Will Smith doesn't have the range to play the range. How about that? Yeah. Like, Wesley Snipes, you're too good for this genre.
I think he would have been lost in this movie.
He would have been lost
in this movie. Like a hellscape.
Yeah. I feel like he would have been used as a throwaway actor, and that's not right.
Well, Bay decided to replace Arsenio Hall, which was his top choice, with Will Smith because he was like an up-and-coming star. I mentioned this to your brother, Adam, who was here for part of our viewing, that Hall turned it down and said it was, quote, one of the worst mistakes of his life. And I feel like is that like a burn where he's like, my life is bitchin'. Worst mistake of my life? I didn't take Bad Boys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's made some pretty okay decisions if that's the worst you ever did. Yeah. Although I feel like my brother would have been really psyched to see Arsenio Hall do this whole movie. He would have liked it a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have been different.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite thing that I have taken from this movie it was during a scene where actually you were out of the room, you were in the bathroom. This is definitely a let it run movie, where if it's going to be 2 hours long, I'm going to go get something. And I'm not going to really miss anything.
No, you're going to catch me up.
But they have Kevin Corrigan, who people might know from, I think, Marvin in True Romance, and he played Cousin Sean in The Departed, and for us stoner fans, he played Budlowski in Pineapple Express. Character actor you'll recognize the second you see him.
Yeah.
He plays the, like, head of cocaine making, question mark? There's this weird scene. All scenes are weird and
he also sells tires.
Yeah. No, that's Mike Imperioli.
Oh, damn.
This is another character. We'll pull up this picture later. But, could also answer the same, like, casting call.
Yeah.
I think he played, like, the goofy uncle made one of those, like, dating my teenage daughter shows or something like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's a scene where they're making cocaine, and they're yelling at the head of the lab, but he's wearing a lab coat, and on his coat are 2 patches. One's a Grateful Dead patch. Fine. Whatever. The other is a patch that says light up and live. And it's you can go and get this patch online right now. It's from the 1970s. It's adorable and hilarious for stoners.
Can you put a link to this?
We'll be in we'll link it up. You'll find it.
That's amazing.
And to such a degree that it becomes an album title in 2013 for a band called Harsh Toke.
Story of my life,
man. But this film has a strange anti-stoner, anti-pot line in it.
Yeah.
Because they treat that guy very poorly, and then there's a point where they have Mike Imperioli's character, and they might kill him because of his petulance. And Martin Lawrence says to him, like, he's a ganja-smoking motherfucker. Yeah, this movie's not for 13-year-old children. What was I thinking? I'm just dead to cursing. As they're like, don't have to kill him. He ain't even worth the bullet. I'm like, what kind of jabs you take? What?
That's right. Like, he's just a dirty, rotten cannabis smoker.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, I feel seen.
Yeah, right? Like,
representation matters.
Exactly.
I mean, it doesn't necessarily, like what we were saying before, it's not going to be, like, the female lead, whose name was the girl. Yeah, or girl.
So many of the characters are just detective.
Yeah. Well, there was also, like, every now and then somebody got a weird name. Like, I never really figured out who JoJo was. They kept saying the name JoJo.
No.
Yeah, tell me right now. Tell me who JoJo was in this film.
Someone in the comments.
Leave it in the comments. Explain to us.
Can you set like a GIF, like a picture of JoJo?
Drop a GIF. Explain JoJo in one GIF.
Super helpful.
Yeah, and the female lead was we're not like body shaming here, but we are gonna say too that, like, the thinner the woman was in this movie, the more screen time she got. And how many random shots were there of women in bikinis? Yeah. For no reason.
We run through a photo shoot on a roof?
Also, what club contains women who are literally just dancing in their underwear like 4 feet apart from each other?
Yeah. That's how you get hepatitis.
I mean, that's how you stay cold, my friends. Exactly. You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah, and as a woman who makes movies, I know that Bay is constantly accused of his sexism. So I was not surprised to see that or to experience that.
Yes.
What I wasn't ready for was how much this kind of solidified the stereotypical dudes bro experience. Like, having just watched Barbie, there were moments where anytime something emotional happened for a male character, this guitar would come in. It would be like a little guitar riff to like make you know it's sad that lady died.
Right.
And I couldn't help but think of that scene in Barbie with the fucking guitar.
Yeah, I think music dictates exactly what you're supposed to feel in this movie. And again, this is the genre. This is the time period.
He's a music video maker as well.
He's a music video maker. And this really was a time capsule, seems like. It's a very specific film for a very specific time. And it has some very specific cultural markers that are really easy to identify. I think one of those cultural markers is the use of very deliberate music. That's it's demonstrative even.
Mm-hmm.
Like the acting is pretty blunt. The music is blunt. The use of color filters, and it's all very obvious. There is nothing. That's also, I think, what's part of the guile and part of the appeal of this movie is it is not. There is no subtext, friend.
Mm-mm.
There is nothing you have to guess at. There's no, like, what's something that I'm not picking up here? That's also why you and I are struggling to, like, follow it at first. We were really looking for, like, what's the twist? What's the story? And it was literally just like, boom, here it is. Follow it.
Well, for 2 hours to be so straight at you, like, it's a lot to spend that much time just going straight at the plot.
Exactly. But I think that's the market, you know?
I guess, I think I was hoping this to be a bit more like, the accusation from Baz Luhrmann when he made Moulin Rouge was, it's just a music video. But it was a very beautiful music video.
That was a musical.
Yes.
So yeah, show me a music video for a musical.
But there's also...
That checks out.
Have you seen The Cell with Vincent D'Onofrio and Jennifer Lopez?
No.
It's directed by Tarsem Singh, who's an Indian director. He did Losing My Religion, the video for R.E.M.
Oh, yeah.
And Hold On for En Vogue. He's like a really famous... And he did that.
I love that song.
It's a good movie. I do think it is an underrated movie. It has some plot problems, but it is amazingly gorgeous. This movie... It's not pretty.
No.
The fight scenes cut so quickly and are filmed so close up. I thought when I saw Transformers and they do that with their robots, I thought that they did that because they're robots. We only have so much money to make robots. If we do close up, we can save on CGI. These people were shot exactly the same way. And I said to you a couple of times, like, I have to look away. I'm nauseous.
Mm-hmm. Club scenes in particular is really a lot of unnecessary flashing.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm not normally even bothered by that, but it was flashing in such a way that it seems... It sets off those, like, internal alarms.
Yeah.
It's not like fun flashing. It's like, wee, hard to see, So it doesn't seem like it's really aged well in that sense.
But it also doesn't seem like, as a director, he's, like, gone away from or, like, expanded on.
Developed.
I mean, maybe partially this movie gets made because he has enough money to make it get made. Some of the cars are his own cars. I mean, I guess this movie makes you resilient. This movie makes it, if you can make it through this movie, you can probably push through a lot of things. It made me feel like I need to be less embarrassed about some of the movies I've been in, which I feel like are not great movies. But were less confusing and also shot on a budget of maybe $5,000 instead of $20 million, but have a similar feel, so I feel less embarrassed.
Well, I mean, this is a different scale as well, but I see what you mean. Like, we can be proud of the art that we've done. Mm-hmm. We know what the good markers are for the art that we want to produce. Mm-hmm. And when something doesn't meet those markers, it doesn't feel like art that I would personally stand behind either. Again, I know that there are people who absolutely love this movie. And I don't want to yuck on somebody's yum.
No.
But I can definitely see how, like, if I was going to an event and people were, like, psyched about this movie, I would like to see what they were super psyched about. In the same way that I'm always so curious when people are, like, obsessed about Friends. They have a different history with this media.
Absolutely. Definitely a nostalgia factor, I think, would come in on this.
Right.
I do think it's really liberating. Like we were saying earlier on, like, there's no rules. I mean, maybe there should be some rules, like a 180 rule and don't just suddenly cut from somebody talking to a car coming at the screen because you think that they've been hit by that car.
With a bolt going parallel behind it for no it was like a pop-up book. What the hell was that shot? We still don't know.
But, there are actually many points in time while I was watching this movie where I thought, is this much better than Tommy Wiseau's The Room? And everybody's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And obviously this guy made a ton of money doing this. And he keeps making movies. He's got well more of a career than you, I, or anyone I know. So this is in essence a take your shot thing. And he did the best he could with a script he hated. There's a lot of endearing qualities to it.
Somebody wanted this movie to get made so badly.
It was Bay himself.
Then that says a lot, you know? Like, why? In the same way that I would ask an artist at the Met, you know, why did you paint this portrait of this unknown dude? Like, why would you feel like you wanted to make this picture that was neither buddy nor action and sort of both? How did this come about?
It winds up being a whole lot of nothing. Like, it's a lot of cool shots of cars, cool shots of explosions, but ultimately not enough of those.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I don't need to learn a lesson to watch this movie. Like, that's what I like about it. I think that's what's appealing to me, is like, I don't feel like I have to do any emotional work here.
Okay.
You know? This is a candy movie.
So, okay, that makes me think of something I thought of while I was watching this. Is this... Are you familiar with how Cats was one of the longest running plays on Broadway because you didn't need to speak English?
Mm-hmm.
Is this an action film version Cats?
Yes.
And
yes, because I'll tell you what, like, my sister who lives in Italy, I'm gonna, Beth, if you are gonna listen to this, tell me what you think of Bad Boys. I'm gonna guarantee your friends in Rome, they will have seen it and loved it. Because I don't know, I've got friends who don't speak English, or people who I know who don't speak English, who are, like, huge fans of things like Die Hard.
Oh, yeah.
And I just feel like it transcends a lot of USA-isms.
Okay.
And at the same time, it's very intensely American.
Yeah, American, and like if you go to another country and they have an American restaurant.
Right. But because the main characters are not your regular white guy, because it's not Dana Carvey and John Lovitz, like, trying to be funny, it's relatable, you know? It was, for that time, new and interesting and relatable, and I think that is what makes it so culturally significant worldwide.
Yeah, and I wonder if I'd seen this younger and enjoyed it younger, if I would have a kind of nostalgia factor that would make me want to quote bits of it, that would make me feel more engaged with it. I know earlier on when we were sitting on the couch, we were talking about VHSs that we owned, and I mentioned that I still had The Last Unicorn, which caused me to remember one of the most endearing experiences I've had with you in our like instant bonding lexicon, where you, I can't even remember the prompt, out of nowhere went into your impression of the skeleton drinking wine on top of the mirror in The Last Unicorn.
Need you have a prompt.
Right? And your body was so perfect for it. And that's a film that I think a lot of people I talk to about it are either like, yes, 1000, yes. Or like, no, that's a stupid, ridiculous girls movie.
Or they're like, oh my god, that movie scarred me.
Yeah. I mean, it does have a lot of non-sexual boobs. But again, ties into our last movie because Alan Arkin plays Schmendrick. We're
yes,
just
he
circling
does. Schmendrick the magician.
And Arkin and a Lapaglia in every conversation.
I love the through line here.
So, you know, I approach that with an incredible reverence and nostalgia where I enjoy it. We're to the point where you did that impression and I melted in my heart.
Indeed. And I felt very seen.
Yes.
I felt very appreciated in that moment because, you know, who else can see that? Who else knows what that's from?
Yes, and I often talk about how in that Star Trek episode where Kirk has to talk to that guy who could only speak in metaphors.
Yes.
How when you speak in a movie metaphor or a movie gif and another person knows without the prompt, you feel like you're from the same country. Mm-hmm. Like, even though
it's an inside joke, it's a shared language.
Yeah, we're here in, you know, the United Kingdom. We're both, patriots. Like, oh my god, I found another one.
Yeah.
And so perhaps that is why there is a contingent of people for whom this movie is a fun thing to watch.
Exactly.
I think as a stoner who also has ADHD and a migraine disorder triggered by flashing lights, I felt confused a lot of the time.
Yeah. I don't know that it was as blatant in its storytelling as we're used to. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that's what was improved in Bad Boys 2.
Yeah, and I mean, if we can make it, there is, of course, Bad Boys for Life, the third installment, which will forever... Arsenio Hall, that's your biggest regret? My biggest regret is that is not the fourth movie. A shocking 96% positive audience engagement. It's got me.
I think because by that
peaked.
time, you're already in it. Like, if you have watched that movie, you already like the franchise.
It's all right.
You know? Nobody watches, like, the 8th Fast and Furious for the first time and is like, who are these characters? Like, you already know.
Let's see. Let's figure out this. I don't know.
Yeah. Except for you. You probably jump in right in the middle.
I'm a Fast and Furious fan. I have seen them all. I have not seen the Hobbs and Shaw auxiliary installment, which is called Fast and Furious Presents: Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh my god.
But you know what? Maybe we'll explore that on this show. I'm sure it's cromulent as hell. It has our boy from Snatch.
Dude, that's exactly what I'm gonna watch because I don't think I'm gonna like that at all.
Have you seen Crank with him in it?
No. Does he only do movies with one-word titles?
It's in his contract. It's very satirical, very tongue-in-cheek, super fun. The idea is that, like, he's been given some sort of poison in his blood where if he lets himself calm down, his heart rate goes below a certain... It's basically
like
my body
Speed?
is the bus. Speed. That film that should have been called Velocipede in France, but was just called Le Speed.
Bus from Speed.
His heart will explode. And so he's got to keep fighting people the whole time.
How does he sleep? No, it's not addressed. What if he has to take a... No?
Nope, don't.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
These are...
Suspend your disbelief.
We'd have to tell the audience, spoiler alert, if we answer that
The
question
man is a
right
boss.
now.
Yeah, gotcha.
All right, so as we approach the end of this episode, I want to ask you the obligatory questions I'm going to ask guests.
Indeed.
And the first question is, of course, did you like that movie?
It's
okay to answer for yourself.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I did.
How many stars would you give it out of 5?
2.5.
2.5. Half more than Ebert. Suck that.
Fuck you, Ebert.
Pretentious but dead man who we should respect because you're dead now.
Because he's one half of Marley and Marley and the Muppets, and that's the only reason why.
Okay, enough said.
Yeah.
Second question. Would you recommend people see this movie?
No. Sorry, was that too fast?
I love how you were like waffling on whether or not you wanted to admit liking it. And yet you're like, no. That's basically like taking something, eating it, and being like, it's gross, don't eat it, but then eating more of it yourself.
Correct. Yes, welcome to my life as a goblin. I've done that. Yeah, sorry, that's
If you can hear this on the take, I'm not going to cut it out. There's a tiny dog sleep dreaming in the corner right now.
Yeah, she's having a wicked dream. You could probably hear it.
She's having a wicked dream,
That's
y'all.
right. Yeah, she's a big dreamer.
We're either in Boston or her dream is quite like a Disney
She's a
villainous.
Boston Terrier. She has a tough Southie accent because this dog is really hard, man. All right.
So no, you would not recommend this movie. Why?
I don't think I would recommend it, first of all, because coming, again, from me, that would be weird. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be 40 in January. Cis, hetero, married, white woman, vanilla presenting. I don't think that you should take that kind of movie advice from me. It's not a genre that's meant for me. And I feel like I'm appropriating something about that moment by saying like, oh yeah, that's like a great movie, man. That's like one of my favorites. Which admittedly, it's not one of my favorites. But again, like I don't think I'd go out of my way to like flag somebody down and be like, hey, have you seen Bad Boys? First of all, I don't know that I would admit to anybody that like at almost age 40, this was the first time that I'm watching this film that has like cultural significance in America.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no.
I mean, as ex-dispensary workers, I feel like I would probably wind up recommending it in a conversation where I needed to try and desperately escape the fact that the person who I am stuck talking to, coworker or customer, wants to talk about the Grateful Dead. And I've just desperately segued it from the patches to the movie.
No. Okay. Well, aside from the fact that the movie seems like sort of anti-weed, you get out of those conversations by just repeating the phrase, run like an antelope, man. Just run like an antelope. Yeah, or like I feed from the bottom. And then you laugh, and that's all you do.
That is quality advice
that's
there.
Right. For anybody listening, that's how you get out of a conversation. Grateful Dead.
Take that. I do want this show to have people who don't look like they'd watch a movie, and maybe start to become the person who recommends a movie they don't look like they'd watch.
Fair.
But don't recommend a movie you don't
Please, let me be that person for literally any other movie.
Okay.
I don't think this is... I'm not going to spend my card on this one.
No, I do think it's
You know?
important to note we will be bringing Ari back because she has already challenged me. I don't like Disney movies. I'm a horrible grump. I don't enjoy children. I often, if a movie has got the words precocious or coming of age, I'm your best bet for like an MST3K horrible soundtrack of me just being like...
Correct. And I'm normally not a Disney fan. I'm not like a Disney adult. I don't care for that. I prefer like alternative animation that has some heart and soul to it. However,
will my ass sing I Can Go the Distance? Do I know the lyrics to The Little Mermaid? Yes.
Well,
yes. I am 100% still human. And in that vein, you've challenged me to watch
The Emperor's New Groove.
Which I think because of Eartha Kitt alone, you've sold me.
Done.
David Spade, not often a thing that I'm like, yeah, I like David Spade.
Yeah, but he spends most of the movie getting like absolutely shit on.
He's a good heel.
Yeah, he's a very good heel, and he cries a lot, and I find that very satisfying.
All right.
But also Eartha Kitt.
So we will come back for a movie you would be more willing to recommend.
Perfect. Perfect. I know that's not the point of this podcast, but I feel like I'm going to get you. You're going to like it. You'll
Secret
understand.
unlocked is that there is little point to this, but no, that we are exploring multiple points in this podcast and really just having a fun time. I do also. I have a friend Brett who will be coming on later on in the seasons. He's an artist. He did a lot of steampunk. We play D&D together. He hasn't seen The Usual Suspects, and that's a movie we could talk about, and it's a really great movie, and a lot of people talk about that movie. Yeah. But also, he hasn't seen, and I also need to preface this with he does scares at Six Flags. He's like a scare artist. He's very like a scary guy. He hasn't seen The Princess Diaries.
Amazing.
And bless his heart, he's willing to see it. And there's a part of me that wants there to be a universe in which a guy like that walks around being like, have you seen The Princess Diaries?
Oh, God, yes.
So I think
but that's
we might
punching
go that
up.
way, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to just find people who dislike movies or who haven't seen movies that I know are obvious, like, wins. And I did want to take the ride myself with you here and be like, I don't know, people say it's good.
That's right.
I also did not like this movie and would not recommend this movie. I mean, but I would still try a different one in the genre and in the third, maybe see that. But not anytime soon because there's so many other movies we gotta watch.
That's right. I think that's it. That there are so many other movies to watch. We don't need to do this one again.
Yeah, and also there were points where I had to like stand up and swing my arms around. I felt like I had failed my constitution check, and I was like taking like 1d4 of psychic damage while watching this movie.
Correct.
As you mentioned earlier, anything to avoid using the metric system. Is there anything you'd like to say before we go?
Thank you so much for having me. This is the first podcast I've ever been on.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I really feel like this was 100% the best use of my day, and thank you again for having me. I'll see you at the next one.
100%. I don't think I knew that this was your first podcast, and I 100% in recording didn't feel like it was your first podcast. And of course, as I say to everyone who comes on this show, I appreciate so incredibly much that you were willing to watch a movie that, by the definition of this show, you thought you wouldn't like. And, and I guess, so then that's the final question of the show. What if you didn't like it? How bad was it? How do you feel like a big fallout?
No, I feel no fallout. I actually feel like I checked off a cultural marker in something that I now have a touch point to speak intelligently about.
Nice. Bucket list achieved.
That's right. Thank you.
All right. We'll get you that bingo card and you can play along with us. I hope you've enjoyed, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Well, should I add this to your body count?
Well, that's it for this week's episode about Bad Boys with our guest Arielle Faye-Foulds. This will also be our last show before the new year, so happy holidays to everyone listening. When we return on the 1st, it will be with a very special episode. I'm doing a preliminary deep dive into The Wizard of Oz since I've been invited on Movie Night Extravaganza to discuss the fact that, even now, as I record this, I have not seen The Wizard of Oz. And guys, I'm really worried I'm not gonna like it. I mean, this episode will be me talking about why I feel that way before I watch it. Then on the 2nd, I will be live on the air with the crew to tell you if I did or if I didn't. It's gonna be a cliffhanger. Guys, get ready. Speaking of Forrest Miller, J. Andy World, Conan Neutron, and Christina Oakes, if you are listening to this episode on the day that it comes out, December 15th, please also tune in to Movie Night Extravaganza on YouTube tonight, December 15th, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be streaming, again, live. Who knows what might happen? With the aforementioned Fab Four, as well as special guest Renee Ruin from the Night Shift and Smells Like Girls podcast. I did wind up making a 2-person game of bingo to play while watching this film, and it can be found on our Instagram account, What If I Don't Like It podcast, as well as our Facebook page. It's a silly game to help you as you ask yourself, what if I don't like Bad Boys 2? As well, not the sequel.
This has been What If I Don't Like It, with your host KT Baldassaro.